And welcome, everybody. Brother Dan Goodwin here. This is the God's Final Jubilee program coming to you from Prophecy News Studios. I have with me here Pastor Ray Bentley.
Hey, Dan.
From San Diego, California, Maranatha Chapel.
Maranatha Chapel.
And we had you on, a long time ago on our program. Of course, we had you on Prophecy News. We just recorded several shows right here in the studio. And we've asked you to stay on and do a little show on my program, my God's Final Jubilee program. And we appreciate Prophecy News. Of course, I'm the host at Prophecy News. Most of you know that. And come out here every month and record. And they're kind enough to let me every now and then sneak in one of my programs here in the studio. Because I don't have a studio that's like this. And I don't have Rex as my producer on my program, but he helps me out here. Brother Ray, we want to talk about your book, The Threshing Floor.
Yes.
And by the way, you can get this at prophecynews.com if you'd like to have a copy of Ray Bentley's book. This is book number 2 in the series. You may have heard about the Mountain of the Lord book. We talked about that a while back. And you can get both of them here at Prophecy News. But Pastor Ray, I want to talk about some of the topics in here that we just got done talking about on Prophecy News. The book is about a threshing floor.
Yes.
And you gave a scenario about Israel, and then it zooms in, like zooming a camera in.
Yes.
Eventually you pinpoint one. Explain all that to my listeners here.
You know, you probably did this as a kid when,
I did some bad things as a kid.
You get a magnifying glass, and somebody shows you, you know what you can do with that magnifying glass? And you can just zero in and focus. And so I believe that God is using prophecy to focus the light, literally, of heaven, and to reveal that his kingdom is about to come. So the first focus of the magnifying glass for the 7 continents, 7 billion people, God gave a prophecy 2,500 years ago through the ancient Hebrew prophet Ezekiel, that in the latter years and in the latter days, just before his kingdom comes and the day of the Lord, he would regather the Jewish people, the dead bones of an ancient people who had died, lost their home, been dispersed to the four corners of the earth. He prophesied. He asked the question of Ezekiel, can these bones live? Mm-hmm. And the prophet Ezekiel said, Lord, I don't know, you know. And God said, speak to the bones. In my name, command them to come together. And they came together. And that's a picture of the rebirth of Israel, which took place. So I believe that in 1948, when Israel, literally after 2,000 years, there was no Israel. It was an ancient people with an ancient past, 2 millenniums. But when that nation was reborn in the very place where Jesus had come, where the Gospels were lived, where Jesus died, was buried, rose, ascended into heaven, and is coming back, that was like God put a magnifying glass to 7 billion people on the planet, not all of which go to church and unfortunately, hear great Bible studies from Dan Goodwin or Ray Bentley. But it was like, wow, Israel exists again. That makes everybody think the Bible, Moses, the giving of the law, the 10 Commandments, Jesus and the Gospels and the miracles. And yes, God prophesied that Israel would come again.
Do you think that have ever been Cecil B. DeMille's 10 Commandments and the robe and Ben-Hur?
Yeah, God.
Had Israel not been reborn, would those movies and stories ever come to light?
I don't know.
That's something. I grew up in a Catholic home. I love my mom,
yes.
We didn't have a Bible. Oh. And I joke about it. I said the only Bible I had was Charlton Heston.
Oh,
the 10 Commandments, the
God
Ben-Hur.
used those films, didn't he?
We used them greatly in my life as a young boy.
So once God focused on Israel, that started a spiritual renewal around the world. In fact, shortly after 1948, God raised up 2 men named Billy. One was Billy Graham, that became the evangelist for the whole world and preached to more people alive than any other human being in human history. Secondly was a guy named Bill Bright, who started Campus Crusade for Christ and a ministry that would go around the world. Mm-hmm. But God wasn't done. Once he had focused on Israel, then he put the magnifying glass a little bit closer. And inside of Israel, the focus has been on Jerusalem.
Yeah.
And even recently, within the last couple of years, our president Trump has moved the United States Embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, recognizing Jerusalem as the capital of Israel for 3,000 years, going back to David. So the whole world is talking about Jerusalem.
Yeah.
And I believe that now that has come into focus, God's going to bring the magnifying glass 1/3 time. You know, where that light gets down to a little pinhole, and me and my brothers used to light dead leaves, because when light is concentrated, it creates fire.
Yeah.
Dan, we're living in prophetic times. God is concentrating his light, the light of heaven, the glory of heaven, through his prophetic word, and it's going to create an igniting fire, a fire of revival. The greatest harvest in human history is reserved for the last days.
And
so
where's
the final
that little dot?
That little dot is the Temple Mount,
yes,
which is the threshing floor. The Temple Mount originally was purchased. It was called, Aruna, and the threshing floor of Aruna on this mountaintop, because that's where you thresh the wheat. You separate the wheat from the chaff, which is in an agricultural society. That the threshing floor is everything. That's where you get the fruit and the grains from which you make your living. And they used to do it on mountaintops. Why? You need strong wind. You need wind to be able to drive away the chaff so that you can get the wheat. The chaff is swept up and burned, but the wheat, that's turned into the breads and all of the things that you would eat and live from and sell. And that's what God is doing.
So David bought that piece of property.
David bought that piece of property.
And that's actually where the temple was built. Solomon's temple was
built on the place where his father had bought the threshing floor of Aruna. And we know the story of David's grandmother, Ruth, and his grandfather, Boaz. They met at a threshing floor.
Yeah.
They fell in love on a threshing floor. That's what the Temple Mount is. It's a threshing floor where God fell in love with Israel, and through Jesus, God fell in love with the church, and where his kingdom is going to come.
Now, on the shows we did on Prophecy News, you brought out the fact that you think the peace thing with Jared Kushner, that we've been waiting on for months, we keep hearing about, you seem to think that's tied into this threshing floor.
Yes. Well, I believe that we're at a time and a place in history. That's why 2020, you and I have talked about
2020 vision.
Everything means something. And there's nothing that happens by coincidence. As the rabbis say, the word coincidence is not a kosher word. If you believe in God, nothing happens by chance or accident. We're in 2020. God is giving 2020 vision to the church and those who will read the Bible and look into prophecy. And the focus is now coming, and I believe the time has arrived. Within this decade, our president has said, I have the deal of the century. He's talking about peace between Israel and her neighbors. And his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, who is an Orthodox Jew and married to President Trump's daughter, Ivanka. So now you have, Jewish and Christian family married together. Jared is working on this peace plan. They're ready to begin rolling it out.
Well, isn't that prophetic in itself?
It is.
Jew and Gentile in the marriage there.
I think it's an amazing picture of the times in which we live. One new man. God would bring us together through the Messiah, through Yeshua of Nazareth, through Jesus.
So the peace thing, everyone's going to be wanting to know, when do you expect to hear from this thing?
Well, I've heard it argued that, President wants to wait until after the elections in Israel to announce it, and then I've heard he wants to do it before.
For that yet? I don't know if they said March or not.
Yeah, I think it's March 2nd.
I think it is.
So we'll find out.
Right before my birthday.
Yeah.
I will be 60 years old on March 5th. Remember that date. Now send gifts. Send money.
Happy birthday.
I'm sure Pastor Ray's going to send me a new car or something.
Oh, yeah. I'll send you something.
All right. But so the peace thing, that thing may come out.
Now
we don't know.
We don't know. Look, we're all going to be looking at it, but I think with everything happening right now, I mean, President Trump, we'll see if he gets reelected, but he has made some significant moves, moving our embassy to Jerusalem. They're calling him Cyrus. This is not us. It's not Christians.
There's signs in Israel, there's coins.
These are Jews who say, Trump, what you are doing for us, you're Cyrus to us over again. And look, it's not just about moving an embassy. That's the precursor to peace.
It's a stamp of approval.
But the peace deal is not the end. The peace deal is the precursor to the ultimate goal of every believing Jewish person, and that is a temple, a place of worship.
So,
and now when you have that,
so you think
we're in the book of Revelation somewhere.
So the peace thing leads to
the temple.
The next thing, which
the
is
coming
the
peace deal, will lead to the coming temple. There will be a temple according to the Bible, and there will be sacrifices. I know there are people that it's going to shock the world, but it's going to happen. It's going to come, and it could be rolling out here sooner than we realize, but it's going to shock the world.
Well, I'm hearing that in Israel, not everybody, but I mean, they want three things. They want peace.
Yes.
They're about desperate to do about anything to get it, which would be a mistake. But
yes,
they want peace. They want their temple.
Yes.
And they want their Messiah.
Yeah.
And they believe their Messiah is coming soon.
They do. And look, the religious Jewish people, we as Christians, we're reading the Bible, we're looking at the prophecies, we're seeing everything come together, align, and unfold right now, and concentrate in the year 2020 and this decade. Well, guess what? Orthodox Jews see it a little bit differently, but they see the same thing and that within the same time frame. So I believe that the beautiful story of Joseph, who was hidden, he'd been gone for years. He'd been left for dead, and they sold him into slavery. But it raised up into the Gentile world. He's running the whole thing. And his brothers come, and they don't recognize him. They haven't seen him, and he's speaking Egyptian, and they think he's a Gentile. But there's the whole story of his revelation of who he really is. He knows who they are, and he sends back to his father, Jacob, and he's asking about his brother. You have another brother, Benjamin, checking on his brother. But that revelation of Joseph to his brothers when they weep, and he says, what you meant for evil, God meant for good. Look, I'm running the whole world.
He said, I am Joseph. Does my father yet live?
Oh, man. Oh, it's powerful.
And those guys, they were scared to death. They thought, we're dead. We're dead.
Well, that divine revelation is coming. Jesus will reveal himself to his own people. And the prophet Zechariah says, they shall look upon him whom they have pierced, and they shall weep for him and mourn for him as one does for
Not everybody agrees with me, but I teach, and I believe I can prove it. I believe it happens at the middle of the tribulation. I believe the 144,000 at the death of the two witnesses, and they ascend back to, I believe that's when the Jews get saved, the 144,000. And that's Matthew 24. They run for their lives. The Antichrist hears the commotion. I'll kill every one of them,
Well, you know what? There's two things. One, there is the 144,000, 12,000 from each of the 12 tribes. And so obviously God's not done with Israel, and he's not done with the Jewish people when you're counting so specifically from the 12 tribes at that time. But also in that same chapter of the revelation of I'm sealing and setting apart the 144,000, also right after that is this sea of people, a number so vast that no number is given to it, from every nation, every language, every kindred, and every tribe. Who are these? These are those who have come out of the Great Tribulation.
Yeah.
Could that be from the witness of those 144,000 from the two prophets?
I believe it's the book of Acts for 3.5. The second half is the book of Acts all over again. Martyrdom, though, when you get saved.
Well,
but boy, you'll have some better Christians then.
Oh man, it's going to be
when to get on your knees and trust Christ means death, possibly.
Yeah, well, eternity with God, though. Yeah. Eternity with the kingdom of heaven.
Who was it? A great preacher, John Rice, once said a thief wanted to rob him. He had a gun. He said, "You can't threaten me with heaven." Funny, huh?
Yeah.
But hey, exciting book, Pastor Ray, The Threshing Floor. I want to recommend this to my viewers here on my God's Found Jubilee program. There's a love story in this.
Yes.
Great love story.
Beautiful love
Everyone
story.
loves the love story, right? And The Mountain of the Lords is the first book, and then this one just come out, The Threshing Floor. I've read both of them, every word of them. And not only are they a novel that's entertaining and fun, but but there's historical stuff all through it.
And it's all happening right now.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
And we've had a great time. Of course, we had you on Prophecy News, did a couple shows. And I think my show is going to come out before them do. So this show is actually going to beat the Prophecy News shows.
Yeah.
So be watching for the Prophecy News shows on television and YouTube.
And I want to invite anybody, if they want to come check us out at Maranatha Chapel.
All right, anybody in California.
MaranathaChapel.org. Yeah, come visit us at church. You can watch online.
What's your website?
And then mine is raybentley.com.
Okay, that's pretty simple.
Yeah.
That's very simple. And all right, so if you're in the San Diego area, you could check out his church. He flew me in there a few years back.
Yes. Oh, we had a great time, and we got to do it again.
I stayed in the
Rancho Bernardo.
I'm on the airplane headed to San Diego, and in the pocket of the airplane there, I pull out this advertising book. And I'm thumbing through it, all this rich stuff in there, and here's my hotel.
Yeah, it's a beautiful hotel.
I said, man, he didn't put me in Motel 6 or something? And it was a beautiful hotel.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to email him and tell him to have me back out there so I can stay at that hotel. And we had a good time, got to know some folks at your church, got to eat dinner with you.
Yes.
And then we met again a second time.
Yes, in Oceanside.
When I wrote my Barley Harvest book, I wanted to share it with you. I'm not sure you caught everything I tried to tell you at the time, but I was out there for something else, and you met me in Oceanside.
Yeah.
We went out on this pier. It looked like it was a mile out there, but it wasn't. But you had to walk out this pier, and there was a restaurant out there.
Yeah, it was good, too.
And it was my first time on the Pacific Ocean.
Oh.
And other than flying into San Diego that time, but we didn't actually go to the Pacific Ocean. But I was on. I think I went down and touched it. I don't know, but didn't seem
beautiful.
Didn't seem any different than the Atlantic, but I stuck my finger in it. But had a good time, went out there and met you there, and we talked for a couple hours out there.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, so anyway, well, folks, if you'd like to get his books, I don't have them on my website, but go to prophecyinthenews.com, and you can order them right there. Now, if I'm not sure when the programs are going to air, they may not have them listed on the website yet, but if not, they'll be on there soon. And then, of course, my website's godsfinaljubilee.com. Don't forget our special program we're doing. This is 2020 Vision. And we got a new thing started. I told Pastor Ray a little bit about it, but I want to do great things this year. I got 2 books I want to put out. I've got we're going to start another YouTube program. We're going to with Charles Hiltebittle. He and I are going to do a program together. We're going to enhance our studio. I'd like to have a studio that's nice like this.
Yeah.
We need some more studio equipment. We need cameras. We need money. And I got a lot that I want to do. 2020 Vision. We have a system set up. If you go to the website, you can hit the donate button. godsfinaljubilee.com. Hit the donate button. And we've got the different levels that you can become a partner at. And I have something very special in my pocket, if I can get it out. It is the flash drive that I've told you all about. This is actually it. Let me go in this camera so you can see it better. This is the flash drive. This thing pops out like that. It's a USB flash drive. See that? And has my logo on the front. On the back is my information, website, email. We're putting all my books on this. $250 worth of books on this flash drive. Some of them have never been on Prophecy News, but we're putting them on all there. And everybody in the silver level, $50 a month and up, you're going to get this for free. I'm going to send it to you. $250 worth of books. So anyway, but we've got some other special things. We're starting a special private page just for you that are financial supporters. We're going to have a private Facebook page, a group, and we'll be starting that real soon. And I'll let you know about that. And we got some other things we're doing that I'll tell you about later. But all right, well, Pastor Ray, thank you for all the work. My pleasure,
Dan.
We worked you today. We did.
Yeah, it was fun.
We did 2 shows plus 2 YouTube shows, and then this one.
Yeah, so good. I had fun.
We worked you today. Well, your wife called and said you've been sloughing off.
Oh, man.
And that I was to make you sweat a little bit. You did a great job. You brought out some very interesting things, and I think the folks are going to enjoy what they heard.
I hope so. Let's do it again.
We're headed toward the end, brother.
Amen.
All right. On that note, look, keep looking to the skies. Keep your eyes on them skies. He's coming back soon. And we'll see you next time here at God's Final Jubilee.